Hello there, you absolute legends. Emma McElhinney here with Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. I am here to ruin your misconceptions about perimenopause, fat loss, and kick midlife in the face. So if you think your 40s are a drag, think again. Because every week I am going to be stripping down the myths about perimenopause. I'm serving you raw, unfiltered truths about your health and smashing misconceptions about fat loss. And a whole lot more. So if you thought you knew midlife, you don't know the half of it. Aging is inevitable, but getting old is a choice. So buckle up, grab a glass of something yummy, and let's get to it. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Piss Off Perimenopause. Today's a little bit of a different episode. So this is actually a recording of a group training that I did today all about beating procrastination. It's actually something that's come up quite a lot for some of my clients and some of my real life friends. Not that you're not a friend, but real life friends, about overcoming procrastination. So it's a good solid 30 minutes of talking about how to overcome procrastination, tips and strategies on how to boil the frog, which is one thing. So I hope you love it. And if you've got any questions, get in touch. And I'll pop a free download for you in the show notes as well. So listen, share, like, do all the things, and I'll speak to you soon. Hello, good afternoon. I hope you're not procrastinating about watching this. Right, hi. Lunch and learn time. So if you've not been to one of these before, this is just a live stream into the group. There's no Zoom or anything like that, just a live stream. I'm going to waffle at you. I'm not going to waffle. I'm going to give you some really good, insightful chat about procrastination this fortnight. And I want you to ask your questions as you go. You can dip in and out as much as you want. It'll be sitting in the group for a long time. So today is actually procrastination because one of my one-to-one clients has identified that this is a previous blocker that she's had in achieving her goals in the past. So I thought it's actually a really valuable topic. So before I get into it, I have to apologise for my blanket. It is freezing in my house. It's 1 degree outside. It might be a bit warmer than that now, but it was 1 degree earlier. So procrastination, let's get into it. So procrastination, a lot of people who see people procrastinate and think they're being lazy. A lot of people who do procrastinate believe they are being lazy and beat themselves up for it. But they're very, very different. So procrastination is very much it's a process where you're choosing to not do something or you're choosing to do something else instead of the thing that you know you should be doing. Laziness is more about just not choosing an activity, apathy, that kind of more of a passive process. So that's a really good way of defining procrastination versus laziness. So if you're a procrastinator, you'll know that you're a procrastinator because you'll actively try and do something to avoid it. So I know that when I'm faced with a really boring task like my VAT things or accountancy or the really boring admin, I will go and actively choose to do something else instead. And it's normally something that I also hate doing, but because it's like the skirting boards or cleaning the bathroom or just something that's I'm choosing to do instead of the thing that I know I should be doing. So most people will always try and do something else that is either easier or funner or better or just gives them more pleasure. But procrastination has its downside. Sometimes it's valid. Like sometimes you'll actually, you've got this task to do and you'll go and choose to do something else instead, but the thing you do instead was actually quite a valuable thing to do anyway. So sometimes it's not all that bad, but ongoing procrastination is not particularly a positive thing in anybody's life because it can cause us to feel guilty. It can cause us to feel a little bit of shame. It can make us less productive overall. You know what it's like when you've got something in your to-do list and it just keeps appearing in your to-do list week to week to week, day to day to day, and you're like, oh my god, I need to get that shit done. And you just don't do it. And if you're anything like me, which a lot here are, like they like scoring shit off the list. Everybody likes scoring shit off the list, but it means that we're missing out on achieving these goals, achieving targets, all the rest of it. So when we start procrastinating over a longer period of time, not only is it giving us negative feelings, it's actually demotivating us. It is making us disillusioned with our own ability to do things, which long term and going a lot deeper, that can then cause things like, low mood, depression. It can cause stress. So procrastination can be just something that happens from time to time. And if that is you, then that's okay. And procrastination can be something that happens a lot of the time, which can then lead on to bigger problems. So 5 top tips to stopping procrastination. I've got quite a lot. I was taking quite a lot of notes for this. So my 5 top tips are: progress, not perfection. Start small. So if you've got something big on your to-do list that you keep putting off, break it down into much smaller chunks. So for me, let's take my accounting. My God, thought brings out hives. I know, it's coming up as well. It's making me sweat just thinking about it. But anyway, so if I just put accounting on my to-do list, that's just going to sit there. But if I break that down into smaller chunks, so one small chunk is send my bank statements to my accountant, right? I just need to go into the app, download the PDFs and send them, right? So that's one thing that needs to be done that is a small part of the overall accounting task. So break it down in small bits, pick something that you can do right now and just do that one thing right now. So let's take another example of another thing that we're procrastinating on. Right, I've got redoing the documentations for phase 2, which is now called the Awesomer Body Project. Redoing the PDFs, redesigning them, right? And there's 12, no, there's not, there's 7 PDFs that need to be redesigned. It's not a hard job. It's actually quite a lazy job because you just sit and moving things about on Canva, but it's quite fiddly. But if I just scored that off completely and then just did do module 1, it would take me less than 7 minutes to do, right? So I can do that. I can do that probably after this call. So just do a small part of the big thing and just leave it just now. Right, so the next thing you want to do is look at the other remaining parts and put in a plan. So put in, right, so say you've identified the big thing and you've broken the big thing into, like, there's probably 4 things that I need to do within that thing. So you've done the first thing, it's taking you so little time, and then you put in the diary the key tasks for the next thing, right? And you do it. That's just what you're concentrating on as the next step, just the next thing of part of the bigger thing. So that's a good way to do it. The other thing is, if you've got something that's nearly done, it doesn't necessarily mean nearly done in time, but just nearly done in energy or nearly done in terms of completion, just finish 1 or 2 things. Just finish 1 or 2 things right there. Just finish them. And then get it over the line. And the sense of pride and satisfaction of just closing things off and scoring things off is going to feed back into your own self-belief about actually you're not a procrastinator. The other thing is environment, right? So if you know you've got something to do that you've been trying to get done, you need to do, is actually taking an honest look at the environment around about you, and is that supporting you do the shit that you need to do. Now, very often, if I know, right, let's do the accounting thing again. It's obviously playing on my mind. Right, if I take the accounting thing, procrastinating, because I hate doing it, it's not fun. I know at the end of it, I'm going to have to give the tax man some money, and it's just really dull. But if I put that in my diary for 4 o'clock, I know that my environment does not support that, because Archie's running about, there's snacks, there's cups of tea. I'll start thinking about, I should probably get the dinner on just now, or what clubs have we got, what calls have I got at 5 o'clock, and just starting thinking. So that I need to deal with the environmental factor. So for me, 4 o'clock is not a good time for doing that task, because I know I'm going to be easily distracted, and because I want to be distracted, I will get distracted. So a time, a place where you've got nothing coming away to take your mind off it. So taking out that. And the other thing is about being kind to yourself, right? So we all know when we've procrastinating stuff, being honest with ourselves about it is good. That's a really powerful place to be, because you've identified that you are an active part of this process. The problem comes is when we are procrastinating, but we're blaming everything and anything else, right? And that does happen. I will happily blame, oh, well, I couldn't do my accounts because the car broke down. Car doesn't break down. But anyway, so identifying your own challenges, identifying, what you could do differently. Also, here's another big thing. And I see this quite a lot, and I see this more about the laziness factor, but it does apply to the procrastinator factor. a lot of people call themselves procrastinators, and it's just become a little bit of an identity thing and a little bit of a habit thing. And it's the same as I see it a lot with motivation. I'm just not that motivated. I'm just not a motivated person. I don't know how to be motivated. But that's just something a lot of people tell themselves so they don't have to try. You know, it's like, I hear this a lot, like people who've been struggling with their weight all their years and their family's all really obese. It's just in my genes. It's just we're just an obese family. Like, are you using that as a reason to not even try? So just be aware that the more we tell ourselves that we are something, we become that something. So a good trick is if you do believe that you're a procrastinator, is actually turn it on its head and actually call yourself the opposite of a procrastinator. You're an action taker. I'm an action taker. And the more you tell yourself that, the more you'll become that. And it's not an overnight switch, and it's not a magic wand tool. God, I look like a wizard with my cloak on there. So it's not an overnight thing, but the more you tell yourself you're the opposite of something, the more likely you are. And it's, think about if you've ever been a smoker, and remember the tips that you got stopping smoking is like when people offer you a fag, you don't go, oh no thanks, I'm trying to stop smoking, because trying to isn't an identity, trying to is an effort. But if you just say, no, I don't smoke, that's a very different sentence. So think about that. That's a good thing. Right, so how do we overcome it? I realise I'm rattling through. If you do get questions, by the way, just pop them in the comments and I will get to them. Leanne, oh, you're poor. Oh, God, the cat's having a zoomy moment. Right, okay, how to overcome procrastination. Right, so step one, first of all, recognise that you're doing it. So if you're putting off doing things and constantly reprioritising things or delaying things, you might have there might be an actual really good reason. But take a really hard look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. And if you're a lot of people procrastinate by, filling their to-do list with things that don't really matter. And if you're in the entrepreneur world, you'll know what I mean. Like, so you know that you should be going out there and talking to prospective clients. You should be marketing your services. You should be selling your services. You should be creating, like looking at your business plan. All the things, all the big things, right? But when you're procrastinating, you'll find yourself designing new things in Canva, or yeah, that's probably the big one. Or going, oh, I've got this new business idea, which is totally unrelated to anything that you do already. And there isn't a time and a place for all of those things, but they can help you identify if you are indeed procrastinating. If you keep leaving the same thing on your to-do list all the time, you need to ask yourself the question, going, is this important? If no, just get it off your to-do list. Just don't do it, right? But if it is, look at then breaking it down into tasks and doing that stuff that I said at the beginning. If you are constantly reading reports or rereading the same email and just, I'll make a decision on that later. I don't know what to do with that. And actually just not taking an action on it. That's a big sign of procrastination. This is me, by the way. You start something really big, like something like this is a must do this one today, and then you get 5 minutes and go, oh, and remember the Magic Roundabout? So the Magic Roundabout song starts happening. I don't think that was the Magic Roundabout song, but anyway, and you're like, oh, I'll just go and get a coffee. It's like, remember when you started making study diaries and study calendars and study timetables, and like, look at this beautiful timetable, and then you never actually spent any time studying because you're so busy making the timetable. That kind of idea. Or if you're always waiting to be in the right mood to do, that's not in the right place to do that, right? That is a big bugbear of mine with women wanting coaching. They're like, it's just not the right time. Like, it's always the right time to do something, right? Always. Like, you might have like a couple of days leeway here and there because you're sunning yourself in the Maldives, but don't wait till you're in the right mood to do something. So think about, are you procrastinating? If yes, continue watching. If no, continue watching. That's fine. But then we need to identify why. What are your reasons for procrastination? Now, everybody's going to be different. Is it because it's boring? Is it because it's painful? Is it because it's just something that you don't want to do? That might be a good sign to just go, just JFDI. If you don't know what JFDI is, just fucking do it, right? Just get it out of the way and done. because not everything that we do in life is going to be easy and seamless and nice and going to give us that flush of dopamine at the end of it. You will get the wee flush of dopamine and serotonin when you score it off your list, but sometimes shit just needs to get done. So JFDI it. I always have a phrase, and we kind of use it in our family, as if it takes less than 3 minutes to do, just do it, right? So it goes like, if there's shoes on the stairs, if there's a pile of stuff to go into the garage, if there's laundry that needs hung up, if there's need like something, if it takes less than 3 minutes, we're just going to do it. So that can be a good tip to take away. The other reason why some people procrastinate is organisation. So if we're not particularly good at organisation, that can lead to procrastination because we've not cultivated enough time, we've not prioritised time, we've not blocked out time. So that can be a real game changer as diarisation, block bookings, having time in your calendar to do the less fun stuff, and looking at your environment and what to do that. So the other thing that I see is just normally super organized people, like most people here are going to be people that you identify as being super organized, because I know most of you here, so you are mostly all organized, but it can still feel really overwhelming. And that can come because maybe you don't know what it is specifically that you need to do. It might be that you're worried that you're not going to be able to do it very well and you might fail it, or if it's something that's for your boss or for a client, you're like, what are they going to think about this? And that means you put off doing that hard thing and seek comfort doing the things that you know that you can do really well or just do easily. And just being mindful as well that sometimes, I see that, like, this is something that's been whirling about in my head for a wee while. So many high achieving women are scared of success as much as they are of failure. Because there's loads of different reasons why, but one of the things is, if I am successful at this, if I do this really well, subconsciously, am I believing that more people are going to come to me with similar requests that I don't want to do? I don't like doing this, don't want to do it. So it's just worth thinking about some of that stuff. I mentioned a lot of achievers are procrastinators. A lot of perfectionists are procrastinators because it's trying to do the perfect action when in actual fact, imperfect action is going to deliver more results, right? Just because you're getting it done and you're going to get it done quicker. So imperfect action is the way forward, right? And that can be a real challenge for people. And I do see that I used to be like this, like I was not going to put out a coaching program until it was 100% perfect, right? My 90-day coaching program has changed 6 times. Like, some of the basics are still there, but fundamentally it's changed. And it changes just because I find out new things or I test something else and it works better, and all the things. So imperfect action is the way forward. So this is just as I don't want to scare anyone, and the only reason I mention it is because it's been talked about quite a lot in the overall menopause space, is that a lot of women are identifying or being diagnosed with ADHD, right? So serious, ongoing, consistent procrastination can be a sign of ADHD. It can be a sign of anxiety. It can be a sign of depression. It can be a sign of all these different things. And I'm not saying it is, but it's just something worthwhile for you to think about and, explore it if you want to, if you need to, but it's just something that's coming out of the research. Okay, so some strategies that we can use to stop procrastinating. First of all, identifying that it can be a habit. It can just be something that you do because you've been doing it for so long, and we need to either put in a new habit that's going to replace it or stop that habit. So the first thing is, and this sounds really woo-woo, but the first thing is it's doing that internal forgiveness. So I forgive you, name, for procrastinating on X, Y, and Z if you've got something specific that you've been procrastinating on. It does sound really woo, but it's like, I forgive you, thank you, I'm sorry, and you move on, right? And the next strategy would be committing to it. So taking your focus from avoiding something, actively avoiding something, instead, and focusing that energy on actively doing. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you've got a big task that you're procrastinating on, or you've identified things that you always procrastinate on, like for me, it's housework. Like, I just So if I was to just put housework on my list, I'm not doing that. But if I was to just put on like hoof the stairs or clean the bathroom or whatever it is, I would do it because it's an easier task. So focus on drilling into the actual step-by-step tasks that need to happen for that big thing to be completed, and it will help you be more proactive and take more action on it. A reward system can be really empowering. Obviously, would this be bad if I said, reward yourself, sit yourself down with a cup of coffee after you've done something, or a biscuit, or a manicure, a shower, I don't know, bath in peace, whatever it is that floats your boat, put in a reward system for your procrastination, like overcoming your procrastination of one thing. Accountability works, peer pressure works. If you're in the one-to-one chat group, use the one-to-one chat group. If you're in this group, use this group. If you're working with a coach, use coach. But ask someone to check in with you to make sure that you have done the thing that you're going to do. Okay? Self-accountability isn't hugely successful when you're a procrastinator because you are procrastinating about holding yourself accountable. And it is true, we all do it. I do it all the time. Oh, my accounts. Right, I'll put it in if I put the time in my calendar, Tuesday afternoon to do this with and then I put another reminder on Friday morning, have I done this? I won't have done it. So what I'll do is I'll just move the task on the Tuesday to another day and then move the accountability reminder on the Friday to another day, right? So just be careful. Mostly self-accountability doesn't work. So use somebody around about you to check up on you. If at all possible, if your diary allows it, if your calendar allows it, and it's not always going to be the case, but if you have something, or you've looked at the bigger task and broken it down into little tasks, and there's something in there that's quite easy, it's like only 2 or 3 minutes, just do it. Just act as you go. Just do it. If it takes 3 minutes or less, just do it. And you can set your own time. If it takes a minute or less, just do it. Try rather than trying to let them build up. If you're a time blocker, so a lot of people will block their time out and it'll be like every morning between 10 and 12 with client calls. This is just an example. And between 2 and 4 will be sales follow-up, right? And then 4 and 5 is the thing that you hate doing. Instead of just putting 4 to 5 in your calendar with the thing you hate doing, put in 4 to 4:15 with a simple task. 4:15 to 4:30 with a simple task. 4:30 to 4:45 with a simple task. There's loads that you can do. Changing your language. I'm a big fan of changing your language. So say you do things like, oh, I really should do that, or yeah, should I do this? Should I do this? Should is a really big phrase. And things like, oh, I need to do that. And that's always said in a kind of negative way. And it implies that you've got no choice in the matter. And it implies that you should, but you're giving yourself an out. Like, that's what should really means. That's I should really do this. If you change that to I'm choosing to do that, or I must do that, it takes it into another level. It starts to imply that you're taking ownership of it, that it's your thing to do. I choose to do this task is taking back the power. It's then yours to action rather than the task being the thing. You are now the thing that's in control. And that's a big part of this. As Katie, you've mentioned overwhelm here. And overwhelm is simply not feeling in control. So the minute that you take back the power and you start being in control, you will less likely be procrastinating. I hope that makes sense. Environment, so switch off distractions, turn off your social media. Even if you can, there's apps all over the place that you can switch off your Instagram, you can switch off WhatsApp for an hour while you have to do things, or go into another room. Like I very purposely, 2 years ago, got rid of my laptop and I bought a desktop so that I had to be in this room, and this is where I did my focus tasks, because what I was doing is I was sitting downstairs on the sofa with family and they're chatting about, and I'm trying to work, and then I'm just getting involved in the conversation. And that's an easy way to procrastinate, because I'm like, oh, I really should be doing this, but actually I'm spending time with my family. And now I'm kind of going back the other way. I've now got a laptop because I now know that I can split what's important, what's not. And so minimize the distractions. There's a phrase, boil the frog. Just boil the frog. So the tasks that you procrastinate on, the ones that you hate, like the accounts, do them first thing. Do that first thing. The thing that you've got, that you really don't want to do, but you know you need to do it because it's important, do it first thing. Um, if you've not done the 4Ds, I think the 4Ds is in, oh, you probably won't have done the 4Ds. Some of you will have done the 4Ds. So the 4Ds is basically getting a full list of everything that you have to do, everything in the world, right? Your work list, your home list, all the lists, right? And you put it into a graph. So you've got importance, level of importance, and level of importance up the x-axis, y-axis, and level of urgency on the, I can't remember, the bottom one, right? So basically, your top quadrant is going to be most important and most urgent. Your bottom quadrant is going to be least important, least urgent. So your bottom, so basically you're plotting all your things into this graph. Your bottom quadrant is just called ditch. So if it's not important and it's not urgent, just get rid of it. Fuck off. It goes off the list completely for life. No one cares. Your top ones, your top quadrant are your do list. They must get done. They're the ones that you do first thing in the morning because they are urgent and they're important. Your list, your quadrant that is high urgency but less important, get someone else to do that shit. If you've got an admin support team at your work, ask them to help you. If you've got a husband that can do the ironing for this, because it's school tomorrow, it's not very important that the school shirts are ironed, but it's quite urgent because the schools go back tomorrow. Get a husband to do the ironing. Delegate to someone that can do it. And the other one, which is low urgency but quite high important, defer it. So take it off your to-do list and put it on next week's to-do list. So that's the 4D. You can Google 4Ds, time management. So there's, yeah, we call that boiling a frog. Okay, so if you're procrastinating because you want to do something else instead, and there's a bit about this, if you've done any of the one-to-one coaching, we have a bit in here about this. It's called quit tomorrow, right? So if you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this task, it's like, right, if I do it today, I just quit it tomorrow and I don't need to worry about it tomorrow. And that can be a really powerful mindset shift. So you're like, just get it done, just get done, just get done, and tomorrow I am free of the thing. It's fine. And looking at ways, can you gamify it? Can you make it more fun? And do you give yourself rewards for doing a certain thing by a certain time? Do you remember when the kids were smaller and you'd be like, right, we've got 10 minutes and we're going to put we're going to count how many toy cars that we can get into the toy car bin in the next 5 minutes. Gamify it. Like, how long is it going to take me? If I can get this done in 5 minutes, yes, I'm going for a walk or whatever. So they're the key strategies that will help you overcome it. There's a couple of different things that I found out that might be quite important for you. One of which I thought was quite important, and this comes from Jeff Bezos, who is the Amazon guy, gazillionaire. He said most decisions are probably made with somewhere between 70% of the information you wish you had, but most people will wait till they have got 90% of the information they have. So go by the 70% rule. You're not going to ever know everything there is to know about that task, but imperfect action trumps anything. So there we go. Even Jeff Bezos says procrastination can be stopped. All right. Oh my God, I did it in half an hour. Woohoo, go me. Okay. So is anybody, right, for those of you that are procrastinators that are still here in the chat, what questions have you got? What takeaways have you taken? What are you going to do differently? Go. And I'll wait awkwardly with the time lag. So thirsty today. You forgot the 4Ds. Oh, I love the 4Ds. Do, ditch, defer, delegate. There is other models that you can implement. Now, what was one of them? Let me find out. There was one that popped up that I didn't really look into. What's it called? This one that popped up was called, no, it's the same kind of idea, urgent and important. The Eisenhower matrix, it's just still the 4Ds. So yeah, give them a try, and if you need any more help in any of those, then let me know. Right, so Katie, prioritize and delegate. Good work. If you've got people in your wider team, then yes, you can ask for support in those things, because we're really bad for it. Really bad. Because we all want to be like, no one can do it as good as I can, which is true. No one can do it as good as you can. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, your time is better spent on higher value tasks. Yes, the thought this stuff is worse than actually just getting the shit done. I find that as well. Like, you build it up and build it up, and then you just do it and you go, why did I not do that 6 weeks ago? So yeah, I've got you. I've got you. Right, okie dokie. So I want you to all, for those of you that do procrastinate, I want you to make a conscious effort for the remainder of this week to tune into when you are procrastinating and taking active steps to change it. And as you do it, I want you to share your insights of you into the group as well, so we can help everyone else too. All right, does anybody have any questions? Are we good to go? No more questions. All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for joining me today. I will speak to you soon. And if anybody needs any more help on that stuff, then just give me a holler. You know what I am. All right, darls, have an amazing rest of your year. Remember, tonight we have emotional resilience with Jane, which I think is a huge topic, and I am, for one, definitely there. Obviously, I have to be there, but I am actually there as a participant, not as a facilitator this week. So yes, I will speak to you all soon. Have an amazing day. Bye. And just like that, we have spiced up another episode of Piss Off Perimenopause and the Musings of a Bullshit Queenager. Massive shout out and a huge thank you for hanging out with me today. I really hope you've been entertained. And remember, don't be shy, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, keep those heels high and standards higher. Remember, it's all about glowing, growing, and downright owning it. So catch you on the flip side, and don't forget to click the link in the show notes to get your freebie.